Boom! Hey everyone, welcome back to Titled Queen at the Movies. It's October, that means it's time for our Halloween special. Steve's got something really scary for us this week.
Let's go find out what it is.
Titled Queen at the Movies. Watch the skies. Oh, Johnny! It's Halloween, Johnny. And I decided this Halloween to go into the sci-fi genre. 1951's The Day the Earth Stood Still, directed by Robert Wise and starring Michael Rennie, Patricia Neal, Hugh Marlowe, Billy Gray, and Sam Jaffe. Now, this was the first big budget sci-fi movie that any studio had done, and 20th Century Fox really put a lot into it. Robert Wise was an amazingly versatile director. He had started out as a film editor. He had edited Citizen Kane, he edited The Magnificent Ambersons, and then he worked with Val Lewton, so he knew about horror films. He directed Curse of the Cat People and The Body Snatcher, so he had a lot of experience in the genre, and he'd also done some film noir. So by the time this movie rolled around, he was really ready to do it. They got Bernard Herrmann to do the score, and Bernard Herrmann has always been my favorite composer of old Hollywood scores. He used 2 theremins to do this score, so you get that. And the score that would go. It was always moving, always moving. And the beginning of this movie starts, and something is going around the earth at a huge rate of speed, and they can't figure out what it is. 4,000 miles an hour it's moving around. Finally it zeroes in on Washington, and it lands in a baseball field in the middle of Washington. And it's so incredible, the reactions that he got from the crowds of extras. It's almost shot like a documentary. He got 3 of the best and most famous correspondents at the time to take part in this movie, so that they added a lot of authenticity to it.
The ship, designed for travel outside the Earth's atmosphere, landed in Washington today at 3:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And the spaceship lands, and a door opens up, and out comes Michael Rennie. Michael Rennie was a British actor. He was absolutely the most debonair, handsome man. Look at that bone structure. I'd kill for that bone structure. Anyway, Darryl F. Zanuck had seen him on stage in London, and at first they wanted Spencer Tracy or Claude Rains to play this person. His name is Klaatu. But they went with Michael Rennie, and it's great because it was his first American movie, and he was unknown at the time, and he's so dignified, and he comes down and he says,
"We have come to visit you in peace and with goodwill."
And he has this thing, and he presses it, and it goes like this, and the army is there, and somebody shoots him. Right away, this is like the first 5 minutes of the movie, he's shot. From inside the ship comes this robot that's 8 feet tall, and his name is Gort. And he stands, and his visor opens up, and there's a laser beam, and he takes out the guns, and then takes out all the tanks. He hears Michael Rennie go, "God! Klaatu, Barada Nikto!" And he stops. And they take Michael Rennie off to the hospital. Well, Michael Rennie, automatically his wounds heal. And they send Secretary of State in to talk to him, and Michael Rennie says, "I need to talk to everyone on the planet."
I'm afraid that would be a little awkward. It's completely without precedent.
And the politician is so stupid. He says, "Well, I guess I could get you to talk to the president." He said, "That's not enough." He said, "But you don't understand. Trying to get our countries all together."
The time involved, the enormous distances.
I traveled 250 million miles.
He said, "I'm not interested in the silly problems of your planet, or the fact that you can't get along. I need to talk to you all. Your whole existence depends on it." Well, right away they say, well, we can't do this, and he's under guard, so they say, well, you stay here, and of course they lock the door. Well, he gets the idea that if he goes out into the public and talks to these people, then he'll learn something about the planet. So he naturally escapes, and soon he's walking the streets. He goes into this boarding house for a room for rent, and there's Patricia Neal and her little boy, Billy Gray, and they rent a room to him, and he has stolen some clothes, so he takes the name of the guy whose clothes that he stole. And the next day, Billy Gray and he go walking around the city, and it's a wonderful. They're talking. They go to the Lincoln Memorial, and they go to the Jefferson Memorial, and they go by the Washington Monument, and they go where the little boy's father is buried in Arlington. He had died in Korea.
That's my father. He was killed at Anzio.
And by this time, reports are all over the city that this, do not panic. The alien is among us. Do not panic, and all this is going on. And Patricia Neal begins to suspect that perhaps something is going on, and she has a little interchange with him, and she realizes that he's kind of a gentle guy, but she's not quite sure where he's coming from.
Everyone seems so...
jittery is the word.
The next day he seeks her out at her job, and they start to go down in the elevator, and suddenly the elevator just stops.
What happened?
What time is it?
Just 12.
We shall be here for a little while. About 30 minutes.
And she says, "You're who they said? My son thinks you are, aren't you?" And he says, "Yes." And suddenly the camera goes all over the world, and he has stopped the electricity all over the world. No cars, no boats, no trains, nothing. Watches have stopped. The only places that the electricity is still going are in hospitals, so that people can stay alive. Otherwise, the electricity is off for a half an hour all over the world. And it's such a cool idea.
The whole city has stopped. People are running around like ants.
What a brilliant idea. I never would have thought of it.
And at exactly 12:30, the elevator starts up, the traffic starts moving again, and everything goes back again. Well, things start happening. Patricia Neal's boyfriend gets onto him, and he wants to, for the publicity, he wants to get Klaatu caught. So there's a race against the police, and Klaatu is shot. When Klaatu is shot, Gort comes alive. And Gort has been frozen this whole time and has not moved, and suddenly Gort moves, and it is terrifying. His visor goes up and he just starts frying everything he sees. Originally, they wanted Gort to be played by Jack Palance because he was so big, but Jack Palance wasn't big enough. So they were one of the executives from Fox was going into a movie at Grauman's Chinese Theater, and the doorman was this 7'7" tall man named Locke Martin, who had never made a movie. He was just a tall, thin man, and they hired poor Locke Martin to play Gort. And he was very frail, and he could only stand for a certain amount of time in this metal suit before he starts swaying, And there's a couple of scenes when Michael Rennie's giving these long speeches, especially towards the end, and Gort's standing in the background, and you kind of see him start to But Locke Martin gets a movie credit in it because, he had to be that big and that imposing, and it really, really does make it a difference when he steps out of that ship. Even though you've seen robots in countless movies, it's such a spectacle. You just freeze. It's got a great message. It's extremely suspenseful. It's brilliantly directed and acted. And I think that you're going to be thrilled with Michael Rennie, Patricia Neal, Billy Gray, Sam Jaffe, and Robert Wise's classic, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Let's all go to the light.
Titled Queen at the Movies. That's my Gill Man. Good, huh? all right, you couldn't do it.
The popcorn can't be beat.